Hey everybody, this is Dan. Today I'm on chess.com and I'm going to play a game of 5-minute blitz chess against an opponent who it seems is rated just slightly lower than I am. And putting together a video like this where I am, kind of doing live blitz is not because I think I'm such a fantastic chess player that I hope everybody will just learn from me. Um, Although it's great if you do learn something, but also just because I feel like I can also benefit from it if you have some feedback as to how I can improve my play in this game. That would be cool if you guys could also share that with me. So, kind of like a communal learning experience. Okay, so let's go back to the opening for a second. So we started out with e4, c5, Sicilian defense. Knight to f3 is a normal move. Knight to c6 is one of the main replies, and then playing d4 to challenge the center is normal, followed by pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn. And I think this move, knight to e5, is probably a little bit off. So what I'm going to do is play... Well, I'm thinking either f4 to attack the knight, or knight back to f3, and then if knight takes knight, then queen takes knight. Let's go with... let's just develop another piece. In the opening, it's good to always remember that you want to have as many pieces developed as quickly as possible. So let's let's just go with that. And then I think I'm just going to continue with normal development. Let's just play bishop d3, developing the bishop to a square that I think is pretty good, and preparing for black's next move, which, okay, a6, alright, so preventing knight b5 or bishop b5 ideas. Okay, I'm not sure if this is the best possible move, but I'm going to play bishop f4, threatening to capture the knight. Okay, so now the knight goes to g6, I'm going to back up my bishop. The bishop on g3 is doing a good job boxing out that knight, and now my knight is hit by the pawn, so let's go to b3. So far all my minor pieces have been developed to stronger posts. Let's move queen d2, maintaining the flexibility of being able to either castle kingside or queenside, and I'm going to castle queenside. This kind of gives me some leeway to go forward with some kind of pawn advance. The f pawn could either advance to f3 or f4. Okay, so now my queen is pinned by this bishop, so am I worried about this? Pawn to f4 seems necessary, and now I believe I'm dropping material, and I have to back up my bishop. So let's just go ahead and do it. Maybe I can still come out with something. So I dropped a pawn there, a little bit of a miscalculation. In Blitz, these kinds of things will happen pretty often, so that's fine. And you never know, even if you drop a pawn, it could be very possible that you can come back and pick up something even better pretty soon after. So that pawn advances, discovering an attack on my queen by the bishop, and my queen is once again pinned, so now I break the pin with the bishop. If bishop takes bishop, I'll play queen takes bishop like this. And now if pawn takes pawn, I will, I guess, just move rook to g1. Otherwise that pawn would be able to capture my rook, which is obviously not good for me. So I'm down 2 pawns. Not looking so good. But you never know what could happen. So always be on the lookout for tactics. You never know what kind of tactical ideas will crop up in positions that objectively it seems like you're losing, but there's really no reason to resign so quickly, and especially when you're playing Blitz. No reason to feel the need to resign too fast in Blitz. Even in longer time controls, you can kind of get away with fighting on for a while, and knowing that when you're not master level players, mistakes will happen all the time. Okay, my rook is hit. What do I do? Let's just block with the bishop. Still not sure if that's the best idea, but if bishop takes, then I either have knight takes or queen takes. queen takes would be double attacking that pawn on g2, so now hopefully I can win that pawn back. I'm thinking black may play knight to f4, yeah, I was expecting that. So let's move my queen, hitting the knight, and I'm still double attacking that pawn. Black may need to do something to defend the knight. Okay, so black is conceding this pawn. So let's take with the queen. Now we've got an attack on the g7 pawn, which is at the moment protected by that knight on e6. And see what happens from here. So I do have a bit of a disadvantage on the clock, but not too bad. My opponent is at approximately 2 minutes 25, and I've got just about 2 minutes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead with this. Pawn to e5. Okay, obviously if pawn takes pawn, my rook can take the queen, so that would be bad for black. So I'm hitting a pawn that is in essence pinned to that threat of rook takes queen. And so... Also, that move, pawn to e5, discovers an attack on the b7 pawn by my queen on g2. So, to me it seems like a pretty good move. Okay, should I take? I'm going to go ahead with takes. The clock is a factor here, so I do have to... Okay, let's trade rooks. And then... go ahead with queen takes pawn up here. So I've actually leveled material, so this is kind of a good indication of the way blitz games will go. Don't feel like you need to resign just because you lose a pawn or two. It's very possible that you can easily regain that material if you just stay alert and look for tactical possibilities during the game. So, what to do here? Alright, I'm going to go with a check, just to kind of see how black will respond. Okay. Now, should I play rook takes pawn? Should I play rook takes pawn? I'm going to go with rook takes pawn. And I have plans now of maybe backing my queen back to f3, threatening the f7 pawn. That's my current thought. Okay, queen takes pawn. Interesting. Alright, I'm going to go with this queen to f3 idea. Double attacking the pawn on f7, planning to either take it with the rook or the queen, thinking right now that taking it with the queen is much stronger because that will come with check. And black may throw in a check here, but actually black doesn't have a safe way to check my king. h1 is guarded by my queen and g1 is guarded by my rook. So I'm actually feeling fairly comfortable in this position. Hoping that also the fact that my opponent is getting a little bit low on time is encouraging to me. Now what? Now what? I'm going to trade queens if my opponent goes in for that. Just because... Oh, a check. Okay, back up. Just because I was thinking maybe a queen trade would simplify things, but in this particular case, now I think the clock may end up being the biggest factor here. Alright, let's do this. Let's play knight here. Trying to reposition my minor pieces and hope for the best. Okay, so I do have a check. Would it be a good one, or would this be a better one? Let's go in with this check and see if maybe this check. Alright, I want to, maybe if I just kind of play my knight back here for a second. Yeah, okay. Now let's do this, preparing to maybe launch them. So this queen move to d4 both protects the rook and is preparing some discovered attacking ideas. So I was able to actually win that game, but just kind of going back to what I was thinking with this queen move. Okay, one thing is that the queen from here protects the rook. The other thing is that if this knight is to move, there's discovered checks. And depending on where I go, there's even double checks. So seems like those kind of ideas. If you can kind of set some things up that complicate the game tactically, it can, number one, first of all, there's probably some strong possibilities there to either win material or even launch an attack on the king. Number two, it is a good way to burn time, especially if you're playing a shorter time control kind of game online. So, blitz tactics. So, in any case, going back to my opening, Sicilian defense, pawns are exchanged in the center. This knight to e5 move seems like a weird idea, although I'm not sure that the way that I proceeded here is best. If anybody out there is a Sicilian player and you see, or even just a stronger player, and you see some kind of improvement from me, although I do think that the way my opening went was fairly good, although this castling queenside idea does seem to have been a mistake because it does allow for this bishop move, pinning the queen, and ultimately losing a pawn. And then another pawn. So I did drop a couple pawns in the opening, and I think it seems like queenside castle was the culprit there. It just was not the right moment to play that move. So I wonder if I should have maybe played something like pawn to h4. No, because then that would be hit 3 times by the black pieces. So what would have been the best move here? On my 11th move, if you have any thoughts for what I should have done, maybe just castling kingside is better. Or maybe just patiently playing something like... not so sure. Not so sure. Yeah, I'm really not so sure what's best here. Maybe I just needed to go kingside rather than queenside. Anyway, any thoughts that you have would be appreciated. So black did end up winning a couple of pawns in the opening, but I persevered, which is very important when you're playing blitz, and any chess really. Keep fighting unless it's absolutely lost or unless you're just totally exhausted by the game. There's really no reason to resign being down a couple of pawns, even a piece. Anything can happen. So as you can see, I was able to regain material, and after some kind of complications here, yeah, I was able to come up with this idea of queen here, preparing some discovered checks and keeping everything safe. And so anyway, it's not a perfectly played game, but hopefully interesting enough that you were able to take some kind of value from it. And of course, this is a two-way street, and if you have any feedback from me as for how I could have improved my play, I would love to hear that. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll share another video soon. Okay, thanks.